This conference will now be recorded.
Thank you. So yeah, let me repeat what I just called out. So in the last session, we had predominantly discussed about the introduction of DevOps, meaning how exactly DevOps is engaging the current scenario in the project growth, and also what one should adopt as part of prerequisites in order to get going with the DevOps in near future. But then they whatever we discussed in the last section was more of theoretical and functional aspects. On top of that, there are a lot of, in fact, a variety of tools that DevOps is domestically hosting within, that one should also be aware of, so that you can, get away with the practicing all those tools and emerge in the world of DevOps. So when I say there are a lot of tools, what do I mean by that? So let me correct myself. There is a process or a structure laid down by DevOps in order to support that process, or in order to support the flow. These tools have been brought in. Okay, these tools are no way like the rocket science doing their own jobs. No, they are the tools supporting the functional and the process related aspects laid down by the DevOps itself. So what do I mean by that? So when I say that there is a concept called CI in DevOps, if you guys can recall, I did call out in my previous session what is CI. It's nothing but continuous integration. So I had requested you to imagine a code repository wherein all the developers are checking their code, meaning all the code that they have committed. It's bundled and dumped into a repository. Okay. From that repository, whenever a new check-in is happening, you as a DevOps person are responsible to immediately understand, hey, a new check-in has happened. Developers have written a new code. So immediately your tool should sense that and pull the latest code from the repository, build it, and deploy it to respective environments. So this immediately sensing a new check-in is called as continuous integration, that is ending as a deployment into respective environment. Okay. Okay. So before I jump onto the agenda, let's do something. I'm very pathetic at painting, but I'll try my level best to help you understand what are we going to achieve and how is this going to help, meaning the title of this particular session, the Jenkins. Okay, now first let's understand. So if you can also recall, I did not touch base with any architectural diagram or any flow diagram that could be customized into our own wordings, but then they were all PPT related sheets and etc. But today's session would be more on practical grounds. We'll try to understand what exactly is a repository, why we need it, and can I if I'm not a developer, can I make use of the repository, etc., etc. And then after the repository, what happens, and after that, what happens? So let's try to analyze. I'm sure you guys, all of you guys, have seen cartoons in your childhood, right? So it will be easier for you to imagine. But then I'm giving you a very nice painting. Okay, so you guys are with me, right? Okay. So let's start with the first flow. I'm trying to help you understand the entire end-to-end process of an application in our own cartoons. Okay, what are these? Any guesses? Don't tell me triangles or pyramids. Okay. Oh, the bad part is I'm not able to see your charts. Let me see your charts. Yeah. Yep, I am watching your charts. Okay, so I need some answers from you. What are these? Don't worry, your name will not be given to anybody else. You can just guess anything. Any idea? I'm just going to give you not more than 10 seconds. Da, 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 da. No responses. Everybody is shy to call out something. Don't worry. I'm just asking you what are these? Domains. Good, good. Any other answer? Mm, pyramids. Hey, good one. Zones, pyramids, domains. All right, I'll break the suspense. No, sir. These are the developers. Wow. Good imagination, right? Now you are understanding where I'm taking you all. These are nothing but the developers who are banging their heads every day and night to write codes. Okay? And these are developers. What do they do, sir? They simply come every day, open their laptops, write some codes, and store it into some place. Now, my question, see, I'm also covering some important, crucial points that could be a part of DevOps interview. Okay. Now, since the beginning, I have been telling, okay, there is a repository, but nobody actually questioned me. Why do we need a repository? Everybody has their own laptop to store the code, and in reality, why do we actually need a repository? But the answer would be so the basic and the plain understanding to that question would be if I have my laptop and the code stored for my requirements, it is confined to my laptop only. The other developer cannot see that code unless I share it personally to him. That is point number one. Okay. And the point number two is if I am a developer and there is a X person who is also a developer and we are asked to work on the same feature. Okay, same feature. So how would we know that to what extent I have written the code? And how would he know that how would he know that to what extent I am progressing, and how would I know that to what extent he is progressing? So there is a lot of gray area, mismatch of communication, etc. Okay, just to overcome everything there is a repository. But is that the use case of it? No, sir. I'll tell you when we start slowly get into the workshop, practical workshop. I'll tell you the real use case scenario of the repository. But for now, just understand that repository is a common place for all the developers to store a unique code. Now, do you know what is this? Don't tell me cloud. I've already broken the suspense, so it shouldn't be easy, tougher for you to tell me. So these answers should be very quick and prompt. Okay, we are already short of time, so we have to cover a lot of stuff. Let's make this repository good one, huh? Internet, good, good. But this is repository actually. Whoever said that wins the coin. So this is a repository. So this developer is actually writing the code and checking into the repository. This is also developer writing and checking into the repository. He is also writing and checking into the repository. Okay. So this is your code repository. Perfect, sir. Makes sense. There are developers. They all are obliged to write code. They are checking their code into a common repository. Perfect. Everything is good. Now, after that, what happens? After that comes the DevOps person into the picture. Okay. Now, I'm going to draw one big box. Okay. This is our artificial imaginary world. Okay. You guys are with me, right? This is an artificial imaginary world that is away from a code repository. All right. So, what we will do as part of DevOps is first things first, you will try to pull the code. Am I correct or not? You will try to pull the code, whatever the code they have written, the developers, you will try to fetch that code. Now, this code can be in any language. It can be a Java based code, Python, C sharp, blah blah. So many technologies. Okay. This code which you are pulling can be in any language. Do you know what is this big window? Any guesses? If you call out this, na, I'll give you a shout out. Seriously, what I really want to know what is this big box? Jenkins box. Hey Mehdi, you are
Version
you are
controller.
winning it, man. Good one. This is the Jenkins box. Shout out to Mehdi. This is a Jenkins box. Okay. What I'm doing is there is a code repository outside the imaginary world. We have created our own Jenkins, a small world. And in that world, we are asking, hey, what is your code repository? Tell me. The developers will come up and say, hey, this is the address, https github.com/xyz. This is the address. So you will integrate that address in your Jenkins. Perfect. You are able to pull the code. Okay. Now let's start get going. After pulling the code, this is nothing but pulling the code. Let me do this. You have you have to do the pulling the code. Okay. Now after pulling the code, what you will do is you will try to build the code. Now, what do you mean by build? I did explain you in the last session, in the last class, what is building the code, sir? This is a very, very important
Packaging the
phase,
code.
okay? Building. This is not a story building or apartment building or that building. This is a code building. Okay, we are building the code. What is this building, sir? Building is nothing but copy of source code. uh, Almost near but not exactly the correct one. Copying the source code is just like pulling the source code. You're just copying whatever is there in the repository to your Jenkins.
Packaging the code.
But execution, no, execution is not the right answer. Compiling is actually the good one. So let us dig down to what do we mean by compiling the code. Compiling the code is nothing but converting the raw code to executable format. This is what we call as basically the building of code. Okay. Now, after you
Building up
build the code, yes, Ahmed, I'm coming to your point. After you build the code, whatever is the end product, right? Sorry, why did I choose this arrow? Yeah. After you build the code, the end product, you build the code, right? It generates something. So that product is called as a package. In DevOps world, it is called as artifact. Okay. I repeat myself, sir. I'm pulling the code, I'm building it. After building the code, I'm just generating an artifact. This is a very important point. Any artifact is based on what type of language or a project your code repository is. So if it's a Java based web application, the end product would be .var. If it's a Java based standalone application, it would be .jar. And if it's .NET application, ASP.NET, the end product would be .dll files. Okay. And if it's a Java based enterprise application, the end product or the artifact would be .ear. So it basically depends on the type of language and the type of project that the developers have created. Okay. Now, after your artifact is generated, what do? You actually, I need something else. Okay, let us keep like this. Now, what is this? Let's keep it a bit smaller. Any guesses what is this? I know it's very difficult to answer, but if you can guess, it will be very, very good. People only familiar with DevOps can answer this question. So this is known as Artifactory. Now, what is an Artifactory? Till now, I haven't discussed anything about Artifactory. Hey, Mudassir, you're cheating us. You did not tell anything about Artifactory, and suddenly you are asking guess. This is cheating. So I'll tell you what is an Artifactory. Sir, a place where the developers are storing the code is called repository. I repeat, a place where the developers are storing the code is called as a repository, and the place where we are storing our artifacts is called Artifactory. Good answer, right? Artifactory is a repository only, but it's more of like artifacts only. So what are the types of artifactories and what are the types of repositories? So this is basically the entire end-to-end flow on a very high level, what generally happens as part of the DevOps deployment, etc. Okay. Now let us imagine in our scenario, what are these things? This repository is more of Git, Git, and this is of course Jenkins. And this artifactory can be of many types. There are a lot of tools available in the market, and Ahmed has called out the right names. It could be JFrog, it could be Nexus. There are so many artifactories, but these are the two most famous repositories, artifactories, sorry. Okay, this is what the entire end-to-end flow of a DevOps is. But is this what exactly end-to-end flow? Because we have not covered deployment. Where's the CD job? Don't worry, we don't use Jenkins for CD. But can we do CD? Well, see, I'm telling you a very confusing point. I repeat, we don't generally make use of Jenkins to perform CD. What is CD, sir? CD is continuous deployment. So I repeat myself, we don't generally use Jenkins to deploy our applications. But does Jenkins support deployment? Does Jenkins support CD? The answer is yes. So my question is, so if it supports deployment, why don't we use it? The answer to that question would be Jenkins is not a sporadic application covering all the scenarios as part of CD, whereas there are so many good tools available in the market that can help us achieve the job. So that is why people do not make use of Jenkins that much for the CD. But yes, for the CI part, there is a lot of usage in Jenkins. So that is why I have only jotted down the steps and the flow for the CI. CI meaning continuous integration. So from here, so from here, let us complete the chart and then we'll get going. So from here, you have something called, let me hide this up. Uh, okay. So from here, you pick the packages and then you, oh, sorry. From the Artifactory, you pick the package and then you deploy it. This is your CD job. That sums up the end-to-end flow. Continuous deployment. Okay, so from the Artifactory, we pick the package and then we deploy. This portion we are not really bothered about in this current session, but yes, we will be discussing that in the upcoming workshops. All right, so now let's get going with the agenda of this call. The purpose of telling you the end-to-end flow is to make you understand, to help you grasp how the function flows from one place to the other. Okay, now let's get back to my agenda. So as part of this today's call, we are going to assume that our project is a Java based project. So if you want a .NET based project, we can do that as well. But basically, I have prepared this tutorial as part of the Java based application. So if you can go back to this screenshot, I mean the painting, I told you, right, there can be a lot of different technologies and languages that can be used by the developers in order to build an application. So as a DevOps engineer, you cannot just say, hey, I only know Java building. Why are you writing in .NET? Huh? Please write in Java. You cannot go ahead and say that. You just have to seek what language they are using. If they are using .NET, then you're obliged to learn how to build a .NET application. If they are using Python, you cannot just go ahead and say, hey, Python just came into the market. I don't even learn Python building and all. How can you use Python? They'll say, get out. You have to learn that thing as well. So as a DevOps engineer, the first prerequisite would be you have to learn how to build all the languages, like not all the languages, but most widely known languages in today's market. You need to understand how basically to build a particular language. So in this tutorial, what we are going to do, we are going to assume that there is a project, there are some developers, the pyramid developers, and they are writing some Java code. Okay, don't worry, I'll not teach you Java. I'll give you a very small example of Java. All right. But before that, we need to know how to set up JDK or Java development environment in our local laptop. Okay. So let's make this tutorial more interactive. Before that, I lost your chats. Yeah, I have the chat open. If you have any questions, I can address them right away. Anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my Google Chrome, download JDK 8 for Windows is what my search is. So it redirects me to Oracle website. I go there. So we want JDK 8. Okay. Now scroll down. Yeah, bunch of JDK versions, but these are for Linux and these are for Windows 32-bit and 64-bit. You can just go ahead and download this. I have already downloaded and installed. It's just a setup file. Don't really don't really actually get confused. Okay, how can I do that and all? Just click on this, download. Moreover, it may ask you for Oracle credentials. If you don't have, create an account in oracle.com. It's very much free. So download this package and go ahead with the setup installation. After you install the setup, you can go ahead and see in your C drive. Okay, C drive, program files, there will be a folder created called Java. Okay, because I have JDK 8, these are what basically the versions. So JRE and JDK comes along with that package. So JDK is Java Development Kit and JRE is Java Runtime Environment. So these are two things that come as part of that package. So don't worry, you just go ahead and install these files, and after installing, it would automatically come up. So I have installed Java in my laptop. First thing is done. My agenda for the first point agenda is completed. Now, what are the setup of environment variables? I don't really understand this. So the environment variables are nothing but, see, I'll tell you one thing. There is a society, okay? There is a society, and there are 10 houses in the society. You guys are with me, right? I repeat, there is a society and there are 10 houses in the society. And there is one municipal guy and he is asked to check who is staying in which house. So what he does is daily knocks everybody's door. House number one, knock knock. Somebody will come up and say, "Hey, tell me what is your name?" He'll say, "My name is XYZ." Okay, show me your government ID proof so that I can assure that your name is XYZ. So the house number one person will show his ID card, and then that person, municipality person, will confirm that, hey, you are XYZ authorized person. Then he will mark in his book XYZ. Go to house number two, repeat the same step, knock knock knock. Comes out the person, who are you? My name is ABC. Show me the ID proof. So every time if you see this municipality guy is knocking the doors, calling out the person and asking them to prove their identity, right? What if he tells one day that, hey, all you house 1 to 10 people, come to my office. On one day, you verify your identity, and after you verify your identity, just put a label or a nameplate out of your house. You're getting my point? You verify or validate your identities, and after you get validated, I'll give you a nameplate. Put that out of your house, so that tomorrow if I get to your house for any works, I don't have to knock knock and call you out. I can just see your nameplate because that is a verified nameplate. Correct? That is what is needed in our current scenario. So let us jumble that or compare that with our scenario. There are so many softwares in my computer, just like so many houses. Okay, how can I say that my command prompt, this is the municipality guy. This black guy is a municipality guy. How does my command prompt understand, okay, Java is there in my laptop? Java house number one person XYZ is there in the society. How does it verify or how does it acknowledge? There has to be some place where a registration should happen, correct? There has to be a standard process where the XYZ person, ABC person has to come and verify their identity. Similarly, there has to be some place where all the softwares in my laptop which are needed for my purpose need to be registered or validated somewhere, so that my command prompt can easily pick from there only, instead of directly calling out, hey software, tell me where do you reside, are you the original software or not? Okay, that particular registration or a common juncture is called as environment variable. Good, right? Good example, right? Nobody's telling me anything. Sure. Anyways, advanced system settings. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to control panel system, or else in if you have Windows 10, just go to just go to uh, this just go here. You have this PC here, right? Right click this PC and click on properties. You'll be automatically redirected to this page. Okay, this is the municipality office, and here you have to go to advanced system settings. You see something here, environment variables here. Click on environment variables. So these are all the registration. Don't tell me this is municipality book, okay? This is all the registration of the environment variables. These are system variables. These are custom defined variables. So if you see, I have written something here, Java underscore home, and I have given the path. If you notice, after installation, there is a path here, right? JDK path, C program files, Java JDK. So after installation, I got JDK at this location. I am telling this environment variable registry. In that registry, I'm creating one name, and that name is Java underscore home, and I'm giving the JDK folder path. I click OK. Now there is one more thing that you have to do. Two things basically. One thing is Java underscore home and give the path. And if you see, there is a bin folder also inside the same folder. To see program files, Java, JDK, there is a bin folder. And every executable file is residing in the bin folder only. Get into the bin folder, copy this, and you have to tell that system path. There is a thing called path. I just search for path. Okay, I'm not doing anything. There is Java underscore home, and there's another field called path. Edit it and just do like this. Add Java underscore home slash bin. So this Java underscore home path will be taken from here only, because you have already defined. So this variable will be read and populated here slash bin. Why slash bin, sir? Because all the executed files are located in the bin folder only, in the binary folder. Okay, I repeat, I just populated Java underscore home, and in the path variable, I am just using that Java underscore home and just adding slash bin to that. Okay, cancel, 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 because it was already there. I don't want to disturb anything. I'll go to command prompt. This is a municipality guy. If I just do Java hyphen version, it will recognize and it will say, I know you. I know you from the registry of the environment variables. I have seen you where you are situated. So you are a verified software. So if you need anything regarding Java, I can do it. So Java hyphen version is populated. Okay. So the second point is completed. Set up environment variables. Okay. Now, before we go ahead with the third point, which is download and install Jenkins, I want to do the building of a Java project manually. I want to do that manually. How do I do that, sir? I'm not a developer. I don't know how to write code. Don't worry. Let's pick a sample application, sample Java file from the internet. Because we are a DevOps guy, we know how to build a Java application, right? So we can go ahead and build that file. So DevOps guy has to be buck up and prepared. No matter what type of project it is coming, you just have to see which language it is. Okay, it is a Java language. I know how to build. Just give me. If it's a big code, also I don't care. Just give me. I'll build it. That attitude should you should have. Okay, let's go ahead and create a sample file. Uh, if you see, I have written a sample.java here. This is the sample Java file. What I've done, sir, I've written class A, opening and ending, and there's a method that get executed. That's it, nothing else. I'm just writing a single class file and the static main method, and system.out.println is nothing but the echo command in Java. I'm just printing hello world. That's it. I'm not doing anything. So as a DevOps engineer, you should not bother about what is written inside the file. You should just see what is the format of the file. If it's a Java file, that's you have to make your mind to build a Java based project. Now, let us understand how to build a Java project. In order to build a Java project, there will be a .java file. These .java file can be in any number, and everything will come from the repository only. Because we are testing it locally, it's there in our laptop, but ideally in the project everything is there in the repository. So after writing this file, basically the developers upload this file or check in the commits this file into the code repository. So from there you have to pull it. .java file is there. So after you have the .java file, there is a utility called Java C. Where is this utility, sir? If I go back to my C program files, Java, JDK, bin folder, there is a utility called Java C. You see the one which I have highlighted here. What is Java C? Java compiler. It basically compiles the Java program. So Java C is something that will help you to compile your code. So what is the format? What is the command to compile any file? Java C space file name ending with .java. That's it. This will generate a byte code, which is nothing but .class file. Can you see this .class file? No, because it's a compiled version. You cannot, just like how you are able to see the sample.java, right? This one, you are able to see the raw code. But after building, can you see what is there in the .class file? No, it will be all jumbled. It will be in, not even in Chinese language. It will be in so bad language that is called as binary language, not the zeros and ones. Okay, this is a system binary language. So I can show you that as well. So once the java.c is executed, your bytecode, I mean the dot class file is generated. So this dot class file is nothing but your, tell me what, if you can say this, I'll be very happy. I'll be like, okay, I'm achieving what the purpose of this session is. Let me open that diagram and ask you one more question. So what is the dot class file here? I'm building the Java program. After building, it is generating a dot class file. Very good, Basit. It's an artifact. It's an artifact. And very good to all of you who thought in your heads but could not type. It's an artifact. Okay. This dot class file is the artifact. So what do you do basically? Then you execute that particular dot class file. Java space dot class file, but without dot class extension. This is tricky, right? Yeah, you're asking me to execute dot class but without a dot class extension. How do I do that? Let's see it. Okay. Let us go to command prompt and let's go to my H drive. Where is it? Sir, okay. Let me open it directly there in the folder instead of struggling. H drive, sir, tutorial. Okay. Open PowerShell. Okay, no worries. I'll open command prompt here. It's asking me to open PowerShell. Okay, I'll open Git Bash. Git Bash command prompt, everything is same. For this purpose, don't get confused. Just imagine that this is your command prompt only. Don't worry. Where am I, sir? I'm into H drive, Mudassir folder, and tutorial folder. I have something called sample.java. Java. If you want to see what is sample.java, this is your sample.java. Hello world will be the output. But am I directly executing it? No, I have to first compile it. So let's refresh our learnings. What is the command to compile the code? Java C space the file name. Let's do that. Java space C space the file name is sample.java. I press enter. It has completed. If you see, automatically a dot class file is populated. Why this a dot class file came? Why sample.java sample.class did not come? Is because you are where is that sample? Okay, did I close it? Okay, your sample.java file is written in the a class. So the class name would be the artifact name. You have the artifact now, a dot class. Now your build is successful. That's it. You have to build it. You have to convert the raw code into an executable format. So now when I'm saying it's an executable format, can I execute it? Yes. Just instead of Java C, give Java space A. Don't give dot class. Okay. Just give A. Hello world. You got the output? Perfect. So manually, I'm able to achieve what I wanted to. What I'm doing, sir, I'm just writing a code. So writing the code, leave it to developers. You have already the code. Okay. First thing is you have to ensure your Java underscore home is already quickly set up. Okay. And once the Java underscore home is nicely set up, you need to just execute your Java C commands in Java. Let's do that with the help of Jenkins. So now I'll give you a golden rule in the world of automation. Automation is not a rocket science. Automation is exactly doing what you did manually into a tool or from a tool. I repeat, whatever you did manually, that can be converted or that gets converted into an automated fashion of execution. So that process is called as automation. Don't think that Jenkins is going to uh, randomly pick up something and it will automatically do its job in the background. No, sir. You have to set up from the scratch. So the main purpose, I know you, most of you guys were wondering, hey, this is a Jenkins section, why this guy is showing how to do compilation of a Java project, he's writing a class file, etc., etc. But then if you don't understand how to do it manually, how do you do that on the automation front? Once you know how to do it manually, nobody can defeat you to do it automatically, because you know in and out of needs things to be done from the manual fashion. So what's the problem in implementing in a tool, right? So that is the main reason for me to tell you, although it's not part of my agenda. The reason why I'm telling you or showing you how to do an execution of a Java build and execution manually is to help you understand that Jenkins also follows the same in the back end. Okay, now let's break the myth. Let's go ahead and install Jenkins. So till now, I was like, JDK is already there, everything is there, but from now onwards, I have to do along with you guys. So if you have laptops, so you can follow along with me. Download Jenkins. I'm just entering this file, nothing more. Download Jenkins. So the first option, jenkins.io website / downloads. I'm entering into that. So there are two types of downloads. If you have any questions, please let me know. Okay, so that I can address you immediately. So there are two types of Jenkins available. One is the LTS, that is nothing but the long-term support, and the other is weekly. Of course, we want the stable version, so we'll go ahead with LTS. So we have to search for Windows. I'll click on Windows. It will just quickly go ahead and install a zip file. So it's basically downloading the zip file. So from this Jenkins mirror, the download will be very slow. Even though you have like super duper internet, from this mirror, the source download will be very slow. You can also try it parallelly. Okay. So if you guys have laptop, personal thing, you can get going along with me. Just know that installation of JDK is a prerequisite. If you haven't done that, don't worry. Just do it along with me. Now we are actually getting into Jenkins. Okay. Till now I was just building the backgrounds and fundamentals of doing Jenkins, but now it's actually the practical part of it. So open the Google Chrome in your laptop, download Jenkins, and be with me. Meanwhile, it gets downloaded. Any questions? Can you tell me the artifact for Python source code? I think it's .py if I'm not wrong. It's been a long time I worked on Python, but that should be the artifact, but you can Google it out. Any other question?
Assalamu alaikum, Mudassir bhai.
Your voice is very
I
low,
have
or
not
if
any
my
question. I have many
sound is
questions.
very low. Yeah. Yes, please go ahead. What was your question? If you are not able to speak, you can type in. I am monitoring the chats.
Yeah, Mudassir bhai, is it okay now?
Yep, very much.
Yeah, so when you told about the Azure and everything, so I went through some tutorials and I started learning after that. And as I mentioned earlier, that I don't have any knowledge of any programming, anything like that. So I have attended some one or two tutorials, but I didn't understand about Visual Studio, and there were many things. So I contacted one of the Amir institute in Amirpet, and also IntelliPath. So they suggested me to go through some basics of programming and all those things. I'm literally unable to understand how to start and how to go. What I'm thinking to master in just 1 month. So please suggest me how can I have a proper path in that.
Okay, I got your question. Can we take it at the end of the session?
Sure, sure.
Sure.
Bilkul.
Please stay there. We will have a detailed answer. Okay.
Sure, sure. Thank you.
Yep, welcome. So meanwhile, I see that my file is downloaded. I'll just show in folder. I'm going to cut it, go back to my tutorial, paste it in here. I'm going to extract to this folder. I'm just extracting the zip file. If you see it's there, I'm opening the zip and I see a setup file, Windows installer file. Double click. It's basically Windows installer. And what we have to do, our favorite job, click next, 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 install. So it's asking me for admin rights. I've given the admin rights. It has gone ahead with the installation of Jenkins. So that's the interesting part, right? It's basically installing the Jenkins from the scratch in my laptop. If you guys are with me, you can also go ahead and execute this Windows installer. Abdul Mujahid says JFrog stores the artifact. Git stores the code. Okay, to whom you're addressing, Mohammed. Okay, I didn't see that. How is JFrog repository from? Yep, thanks Abdul Majid, Mujahid, for that answer. That's actually the correct one. JFrog or the Nexus Artifactory. These are artifactories, not repositories. Okay, artifactories. Why we call it artifactory? Because they store the artifacts. And whereas repositories, which is Git, SVN, Bitbucket, etc., they store the code. They store the versioning of the code. Don't worry, I haven't touched anything on Git because this is purely on Jenkins. In next workshop, I'll give you a brief detail on Git so that you can say proudly, hey, I know repository. I'll give you in and out of what is a repository and everything. Okay, don't worry about that. We will have concurrent sessions on this DevOps workshop. Anyways, I see that Jenkins is installed. I have to go ahead and look here, localhost colon 8080, and I don't know why it's not coming up. So basically the default port would be 8080, and ideally it should get populated. Let me see if the service is running or not. Oops. So I'm opening the services. Wonder why it's taking so time. Okay, God. Okay, I'm into the services now. And if you see, just type J, will be redirect to Jenkins. And this is the Jenkins service and the status is running. So now let's get back to localhost colon 8080. Now you see that your Jenkins is getting ready. So that is answering a lot of big questions. Is Jenkins a dashboard? Is Jenkins a tool? Or is Jenkins a utility? Or is Jenkins a portal that can be accessed on web browser? The answer is it's a portal that can be accessed in a web browser with the help of a URL. The default port is 8080, and because it's in my laptop, I'm accessing it via localhost. Okay, so it's taking some time to load. So all these internal binaries and everything are being loaded. So you see by default, I see. Because the Jenkins was already there, it's not asking me to set up. Let me just go ahead and sign in. So it basically asks you for username and password because I had already set up. So it's there. This is the dashboard. Interesting. If you guys are doing it parallelly, having any questions to set up, let me know. All right, so I presume that you guys are able to successfully configure it. It will automatically ask you for username and password. Okay, don't forget the password. Keep it handy with you anytime. Enter the username, password. Don't worry, there won't be any conditions for password saying these many characters or so. You can just go ahead and write whatever you want. And this is the dashboard. Okay, on the left hand side, I see some menus. On the right hand side, I want to delete these two jobs because we are starting from the scratch. I don't want to confuse you. As I told, right, I have been showing some tutorials, so these are the two examples. So this is how you land up on your Jenkins page. It will ask you to create new jobs, and on the left side you'll have something. Now let's quickly do whatever we did manually so that we can wind up the session. Already we are short of some time. So what is a job? Job is nothing but an execution, a process execution. Okay, so if I'm saying I want to build a project, so I'm basically executing the build job. So I'll have to create a build job in Jenkins. Okay, now before that, if you remember, what were the prerequisites, sir? The prerequisites were install JDK, set up environment variables, So do I have to do that when I'm automating it? The answer would be yes. Then how would Jenkins identify that you have something called Java in your laptop? I'll go to manage Jenkins. Okay, excuse all these warnings. Don't worry. Just let's go to global configuration tool. Oh, sorry. I think it's yeah, it's global tool configuration, not configuration tool. Okay. Here, what I'm gonna do is okay. I will remove this. I don't want this. So this is how you will land up. Okay. If you go global tool configuration, there will be nothing inside it. Just say add JDK. You have to tell Jenkins, right? There is a JDK in your laptop. How do you say? Give any name. JDK 1.8 because I have 1.8 in my laptop. Install automatically. I don't want to install automatically because I have installed it already and I have to give the Java underscore home path. So where is the Java underscore home path, sir? If you go to C drive, program files, Java, JDK, this is your Java underscore home path. Correct? You're just telling Jenkins, hey, Jenkins, I already have JDK and this Java underscore home is Jenkins specific. This municipal record is Jenkins specific. Okay, don't get confused. Hey, already I configured environment variables. Why again I need to do this? No, sir. This is Jenkins specific. How would Jenkins understand where is your Java underscore home? It may or may not access your domestic environment variable. So that is the reason you have to explicitly give the Jenkins, sorry, Java underscore home path. Save. Done, right? Now I'm going to create a new job, sample, and it will be a freestyle job. Now this is how your job will look like. Click OK. And this is how a Jenkins job look like. Don't worry, I'm not going deep into this because it's just a starting visual of Jenkins. In the next session, we'll go much deeper. We'll analyze all these things in detail. But for now, please don't get confused why he's not telling that. Why am I not going to that? What are the options for other items that are showing up? Don't worry about all that. Okay. First thing is general. It'll ask you for description. We don't really care. Source code management. By default, it will be Subversion in your laptop. Git will not be there. Don't worry, I'm not pulling code from Git for now. I'll show you everything in the next session related to Git. This Git plugin will not show in your Jenkins. If I'm not wrong, if you guys are practicing along with me, you can see directly that if you create a new job, this Git will not come up unless you have installed a plugin. Okay, we'll discuss about plugins and etc. later. But for now, I don't want any source code management because my sample.java is there in my local laptop only. Correct. I haven't pushed that to Git repository. So instead of pulling the code from Git repository, I'm pulling the code from local laptop only. So instead of pulling it from Git repository, I'm pulling from local laptop only. Okay. Now build step. Execute Windows batch command. Java C. First you go to this path. Okay, let's do one thing. Invoke, execute, Windows batch, setup, then timeout. Okay, this is the one. This is nothing but command prompt. Okay. Now if I open command prompt and if I say, sorry, mm, Oops, I forgot how to switch directory. Does anybody have a knowledge on this command? I'm a bit confused.
Slash cd slash backslash.
Sorry?
It will cd backslash. It will goes to the parent directory.
Correct.
No,
I
no,
want
no.
to switch
Yeah.
to a H directory.
So cdh colon.
It's not taking. Okay,
Hmm.
it's not taking. That is
H
wrong.
colon forward slash.
JDH colon forward slash. I did that,
No,
I
not
think.
no need of CD. Only H colon H colon
Correct, correct,
forward
correct.
slash. Forward slash.
Okay, give a backslash. Sorry. No, it's not taking either.
Just type
Yeah,
H. Type H colon.
now
Just
it
type
took. H colon it took. Thanks for everyone giving inputs. I work more on Linux, so I'm not pretty much of this command prompt commands. H colon, I'm into this cd my folder, and then cd to where I am supposed to head to. I have to go to edge, Zesser, tutorial. This is where, right? Tutorial. After this, Java C sample.java. This is what my command is, right? Once the Java C sample.java is completed, Java A is what I have to do. So basically, I'm compiling and I am executing in a single script. All right. Apply. There would be a green confirmation. Save. So this is a standalone job that is reading the file from my local drive, compiling it, and it's executing. So before I do that, let's confirm that there is no a.class file. I'll delete it, and I can also delete the zip file, right? Yep, I have only the sample.file, sample.java file. I'll go ahead and click on the build now. So if you go back to the Jenkins dashboard, you have a sample job created. Go to the sample job. If you want to see what is there in it, click on configure. You see, you haven't pulled a code from any source code management. You have just written a batch file that is seeding to this particular path and then executing Java C and Java A. Okay, save and click on build now. Build now is actually a command that will run the job. Build now, you see a small dot coming up here. If you directly click on that flashing dot, you will be redirected to the console. Console means the output logs. You see, it has successfully completed. It went to this particular CD folder, CD tutorial, Java C sample.java, and then Java A. The output is with you. And if you go back to the folder, a.class is already generated. So what I did manually, I'm able to achieve with the help of Jenkins, right? So is this what we use Jenkins for? Absolutely not. We have to integrate with Git. We have to see how we can build a web-based project. It was a very dirty, small standalone application. But in real-time scenario, you will not be given with this little examples. Don't worry. Okay. In the real-time scenario, you will be given with an actual project that is more based on a build tool. Now, what is a build tool? How we can integrate with Jenkins? We will see that in our next session. Okay, so we can wind up this session on this note that we have successfully able to run a sample Java file manually and from the Jenkins. And in the next class, in the next workshops, we will go ahead and look out for more, exploring more features in the Jenkins and try to understand how we can build big web applications. All right, any questions for me? Any questions for me? Okay, you want to give easy 104 exam. You have learned through sources, through tutorials. So can you tell some sources from where I can practice for exam? That's a good question. Azure 104 is, if I'm not wrong, it's Azure Administrator exam, right? Okay, so for that, you can go through a YouTube channel. Some tutorial is there. I'm not able to recall the name, but there's actually a YouTube channel. So for now, you can just go ahead with the YouTube tutorials and try to practice as much as you can in the portal.azure.com. Okay, with all the available services that Azure provides, that is basically what 104 will look for. And know that 10, if you just go ahead and crack the 104 exam, you'll not get the badge. You may have to crack one more exam as part of that. So then only you'll get a badge from Microsoft saying that Azure Administrator Certified or something like that. Okay, so to your question, for now, you can just go ahead with YouTube tutorials. I say do not pay for any institute, because DevOps is something that you get a little push from some person, some real-time working person. You can just crack it, provided you practice enough. Okay. Let me know if you're not able to find YouTube tutorials or something. You can just um, let me know in the next session so that we can work on. Hi, Madhusir. How I should come to know about your upcoming session details? Sir, you can be aware from the CGC notifications. Okay, I hope that you're part of CGC groups. You'll be notified when there are new sessions coming up.
So, Madhusudhan, I had a question.
Yep, please.
Now, like you executed the Java files, but you had to install on the local machine. For executing other formats like Python and other programs, do we have to install the uh, prerequisites on the local machine as well?
That's a good question. Let me get back to this Manage Jenkins folder. I have something called Global Tool Configuration, right? The reason why I skipped the tutorial for installation JDK is this. That's actually a very good question. I'm impressed by that. So if you click on install automatically, okay, and what is the version of it, you don't really require JDK to be there on your local host. You just say JDK is installed automatically and it will take care of it. And for example, if you want Python, just install the plugin for Python. Okay, I'll just delete this JDK. Let's assume that I don't have JDK on my local laptop. Add JDK, give the name of it, JDK latest. I don't know what version. Okay, there is a version here, JDK 9, right? And I can say JDK 9. It will automatically download it, but it will ask your Oracle credentials. I told you, right, at the time of installation in my beginning, it will ask you for credentials. You might have to enter those credentials. Only then this Jenkins will contact to the oracle.com website with the API authorizing your credentials, and it will fetch the version that you have specified here. That means in your laptop, you don't need JDK. It will automatically do it. Similarly for Python, Python will not come up here. You might have to install an additional plugin. After you have the plugin, you can just do the same for it. You don't need it locally. All right, so let me see
Got
other
it. Thank
question.
you.
Welcome. What tool will be used for deployment? Will it be on cloud like AWS, Azure, etc.? So there are a lot of tools available in the market. Depends on what we want to achieve. Okay. In our workshop, if things go well, we will use Ansible as part of deployment. Okay. Is it mandatory to learn C, C++ to learn like DevOps or other language? Absolutely not. You don't need a long language knowledge of C or C++. You just need to know how to build or compile a particular language. You don't really give a damn about what's there in the program file. You just know, okay, this is the way to build a C language. This is the way to compile a C++ code. This is the way to build a Python code, etc., etc. Okay. Can you please give the group name? Yes, Wahid, thank you so much for giving the details. Jazakallah, changed my mind. Thank you so much. Udemy or IntelliPath or Amirpet Institute, etc. Sir, I again tell you, do not waste your money. Uh, just practice. Okay, I am there. If you want, I can give you my WhatsApp number as well. Plus, just let me know if you have any doubts. We are there to help you guys. Don't waste your money behind all this tutorial stuff and etc. Only thing is you need to practice every day. You learn tools, explore the tools. So if I know what is the purpose of the Jenkins, I cannot say I know Jenkins. I need to understand everything what is there in the manage Jenkins, etc. Right? Only then I can tell you, okay, this is what exactly happens at the background. Correct? So that is what my only concern is. Do not pay for institutes unless you are not anywhere confident about your growth. But for if you are, then go ahead and explore the tools. Note, I don't know even ABC of code, any coding. I even don't know the coding. I was a Java developer. I have a little touch of Java, but I don't know C++ or C Sharp. But right now I'm working on Azure DevOps only, and that's completely .NET code. It's a good learning, but that really doesn't mean that I have to learn C Sharp. My day starts with .NET code and end with .NET code, meaning I don't code, but my DevOps world is all associated with .NET these years. So I don't have knowledge about C Sharp coding, but then I'm able to achieve it. So don't have that myth in your head. Let's break that. You don't need a programming knowledge anywhere. Uh, thank you so much for your good comments. You don't have to learn the software language, Mohammed. You just have to learn the building knowledge, build knowledge of a particular application. Just Google out how to build a Java application. Just Google out how to build a C application. Just Google out how to build a Python application. Do that locally. And if you want code, GitHub Zindabad. You can get everything from the github.com, right? You get sample codes from GitHub for Java, .NET, Python. Pull from there and read from the tutorials. Watch out how to build the Java code or Python code. Apply that. It's very simple. Thank you so much, Mujahid. Really appreciate. Thank you so much for the good feedbacks, guys. So Wahid sir will be actually